What's up, everyone? Welcome to Real Talk NFT. As you know, I'm your host, Brian, and we have a great guest here for you today. Joe and I were pumped up to have this guest. Joe can't make the podcast today, but we interviewed Viktoriya actually on one of our crypto summits. After Joe did the interview, he was like, Brian, we got to get her on the podcast. She's a wealth of information. She's building all this cool stuff. So Viktoriya Hying, she's the co-founder of NPC Labs. She's a core contributor of B3, doing a lot of big things in the crypto space, and just really excited to have her on the podcast today. Viktoriya, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for that intro. I should just bring you with me to do all my intros.
I could do that. I mean, I was telling you before we jumped on, I'm notorious for messing up names and screwing up intros. So
You
I'm
crushed
glad
it.
I was 1 for 1 right there. But in all honesty, and it's the only way to be, I was really excited for this podcast because I did a little bit of a digging. I went to basement.fun. We'll talk a little bit about that. I started playing these super addictive games, and I just know you have a wealth of experience in the space. And that's kind of where I want to start. I would love to hear a little bit about your experience at Coinbase and how that's developed into the gaming world. Would love to just know a little bit about that background.
Yeah, absolutely. I can start there. So I joined Coinbase to lead brand partnerships in the creator ecosystem specific to Coinbase NFT. Sadly, a failed product. But Brian, the only part of that product that was a major success was the partnership side of things because we were able to close over 100 partnerships with legacy brands and top-notch NFT creators, studios, games. And so that really got us an in with the crypto native NFT creator community, which was actually instrumental for the second thing I did while I was employed at Coinbase, which is lead the creator ecosystem from day zero when it was just a doc of Base, the L2 chain that Coinbase launched. It was a very small, scrappy team. It really felt like a startup during those days. There were 12 of us. We were kind of working on this big dream. Coinbase is interesting in that the retail exchange is massively successful and they have hundreds of millions of users, right? But with some of the other products like Coinbase NFT or maybe Coinbase Wallet, sometimes the product does fall short. And so when Base was first just an idea within the company, it was very much a long shot. You don't have a history of putting out incredible products and dominating the market. And so putting out an OP stack L2, same as Optimism, brought a lot of questions out from the community where they were like, why aren't you just buying Optimism? You have so much money in the bank. Brian talks about that all the time. Why are you launching another L2? Why are you fragmenting, funds and the user experience? And so Base is massively successful now and they're absolutely crushing it. But during those very, very early days, there was a ton of FUD. And so we really on the Base team had to create a narrative around, well, what is it? We're not differentiated with tech. We're not doing anything special there. What is Base? What does that mean? And we've really meant for Base to be the culture chain. And so oftentimes when you see Jesse talking about Base, on Change the Next Online, Base is for everyone, those were kind of some of those core mottos that were created during, day zero, day one, to really start having people think about Base in a particular way. And the thesis we had was if we bring in creators, if we bring in some of the partners from the Coinbase NFT days to come and do cool shit with us on Base, perhaps that'll seed the narrative. They'll bring in their audiences and we'll grow because culture is really how you get the next million plus people on chain. And so we went live with testnet in February. We did a really cool Blue Dot campaign that Jesse created and launched. And then we did on-chain summer for the mainnet launch. And that was one of the big projects that I led as a part of the creator ecosystem role. And so on-chain summer was also launched during a bear. I think a lot of people,
Yep.
again, with the success of Base, tend to overlook the fact that the launch and mainnet of it, compile the fun on top of the FUD on top of the fact that it was the midst of a bear, and yet still that launch and that experience was one of the best. It wasn't just, hey, we're now live, developers come build. It was, hey, we're live, users, here's an actual thing you can do on this chain, which was very different. And you see that being mirrored now by a lot of ecosystems that are launching in the space today. So anyway, worked on Base, creator ecosystem, launched on-chain summer, brought in a bunch of platforms. And I think during that time is when myself and my co-founders, who were also working on Base, the entire team's actually ex-Coinbase, ex-Base at NPC Labs. And we kind of saw this opportunity. We were monitoring everything that was happening on Base, and the minting was going great, and people loved the NFTs. But the massive opportunity that Base was kind of missing the mark on was gaming. The chain was still too expensive at the L2 level to successfully compete in the gaming vertical. And so we quickly realized that, in order for Base to grow and scale and to really be able to bring the next 100 million, 300 million people on chain, whatever it is, there has to be a fun way to do it. And gaming's the perfect gateway, if you will, to bring people on chain and start participating in this on chain economy. But we can't do that while at Coinbase. And we couldn't do that at the L2 level. And so that's where B3, the idea was born of kind of launching a very specific, specialized, opinionated ecosystem on top of Base at the L3 level. And that's what B3 is. So that's today.
I love it. I love it. I have a little bit of a similar background. I actually worked at DraftKings for a while in their partnerships, signing up big partnerships. And there's a little bit of a disconnect there between what we're doing on the sportsbook side of things. And we have this whole NFT marketplace and trying to intertwine it with rainmakers and everything along those lines. That's a story for another day. But the base program, I mean, I was there right when it launched. I hammered that Blue Dot NFT. I mean, I think I had like hundreds and hundreds of them. There was like some sort of like other, not through Base, but like some sort of token airdrop that was like if you held that at one point. And a lot of the on-chain summer NFTs, like I thought it was, you make a really great point. Like it's a culture. It's a culture chain, and you did a great job building that narrative and building it out. I'm a big fan of what you build at Base, and kind of, I know you're not there anymore, but kind of what Jesse and team are doing at Base as well. I think they have a great vision, and I'm a big supporter of what they're building out there. But I want to talk to you a little bit about gaming, and you said something there. I'm curious why you think gaming is going to be like one of the more effective on-ramps from mainstream users to Web3. Can you kind of, and I guess on top of that, Web3 gaming kind of always got like this bad rap from gamers, like they were like, no, we don't want to do Web3. We don't want your Ponzi. Kind of, how do you think that's all going to evolve in this new world?
Yeah, no, and actually my answer is really is three-part, right? Like the answer to your first question of like, why gaming? Why is that going to be the thing? It is twofold. So first and foremost, game developers in the gaming industry has always been on the forefront of innovation. They are not afraid to take risks. They want to push the boundaries and have always wanted to push the boundaries of what's possible. And so they are the perfect group of people to experiment with a new technology because they've never been afraid of it. They don't wait for it to hit or become a massive success. They try, they fail, they try, fail, but then they succeed in the end. And the one thing that we've seen in the last decade, I would actually say, maybe a little less, but there has been a lack of innovation from game developers. We've kind of been faced with the same, but maybe different, but really the same. It's a slew of like sequels and remakes. And at the end of the day, what has happened is like the industry is monopolized. Previously, it was these indie game developers who were scrappy and building and creating new experiences. And again, not afraid to fail. But now that they've gotten so big, they've consolidated amongst themselves. And big gaming publishers now decide what gets put on the market, what gets published, and what you and I play. And so as a user, you don't have a perspective or a voice, even though you're the one paying money for it. And as a game developer, you also could put out a million indie games in front of them, and they'll reject all of them. But then they'll remake The Last of Us like sequel, or The Last of Us remake number 10, because HBO is coming out with season 2 this year, and so the marketing just aligns in the very perfect way where they can squeeze out another couple $1 billion from this 10th remake of the same exact game, while passing on incredible, innovative, really cool indie game initiatives. And so that's the problem on the game developer side. The industry is controlled by monopolies, and so innovation has really stopped. There is no innovation, and in these games we feel it if you're a gamer yourself, but they lack soul. Like there's this lack of connection. I remember when I first played BioShock, I was blown away, absolutely blown away. It made me feel a certain way for weeks and months, and then I had to kind of like get myself back into the real world and like immersed out of this world that this experience that I lived through. And I haven't had that in a really long time. I don't know when I'll have that next. I keep trying, but it's just same, but different. And then on like why gaming, and then on the user side of things, I think the tricky thing here is, again, because you're just being kind of pushed what you should be playing, what you should be into. Gamers just don't have a choice anymore, and their voice is being taken away. There's been massive games that gamers have loved, have purchased, they've been playing them on their Steam accounts and on their PlayStations, and then the publisher decides that, well, the game has not made $1 billion quick enough, and even though it is beloved by players and gamers, doesn't matter. They pull the release, they defund the entire experience, and they bankrupt the team, and then the thousands of people that have worked on it are out of a job, and players can't even play the content that they purchased because it's been pulled from Steam, because it's been pulled from the PlayStation Store. And so it's like, you think you own something, but you really don't. You're beholden to these rules. And so that's where I think oftentimes blockchain has this thing where we have a solution to a non-existent problem with blockchain. Gaming is different. There actually is a problem here that blockchain can fill. In terms of funding for indie game developers and studios, there's a new way to get funded where you're not beholden to big gaming deciding whether you're good enough or not. And from a player's perspective, again, you've paid for this, you like it, you love it, you're going to own it in perpetuity. There's no taking it away from you because it hasn't made enough money for the shareholders. And then your second question of like, well, on-chain gaming kind of fucking sucks. Do we really want on-chain gaming? Like, is that really the thing? And I think to just take a step back with, again, blockchain, oftentimes we have the solution that doesn't really have like a problem associated with it. And I think in the very, very early days of when, people are like, wow, smart contracts are incredible. Let's slap everything on it. Let's do IP. Let's do images. Let's do music NFTs. Let's do games. But the tech just wasn't ready. And so where there's something to be said about being too early. And so, when you go out with something that just isn't ready, the technology is not evolved enough to actually bring in, the people you need in a meaningful way, it kind of disrupts the entire experience. Compound that with crypto is first and foremost a financial instrument. And so everything that gets done in crypto is always led with, you're going to make money on this. It's a big casino at the end of the day. And so when you bring in a game, you have to wrap in, some sort of a mechanism where you're gambling to win, or it's a multi-level marketing scheme, or it's a Ponzi or something. And so you hit too many of those, and then you start getting a bad rep. And then on-chain gaming is a joke. And, right now, actually, one of the big mission that we have with B3 and everything that we're doing is to, make on-chain gaming like an actual thing that someone would be proud to say, I'm an on-chain gamer, the way you would say I'm a PC gamer or I'm a console gamer. We're still quite a long ways away, but it's making small incremental steps and using the technology in a very specific and opinionated way where it makes sense. That's going to start getting us to that place where it's like, oh, okay, I'm not going to lose my entire net worth to, a North Korean bridge hack, but I actually am doing this because it's fun. I like it. I get to fund my favorite studios. I get to own and play the games I love. And so, that's the end goal here. That's the long-term vision.
Yeah, I mean, having ownership in games in Web3 it just feels like natural. Like once gamers really realize that they can take this skin or this gun or whatever it is across different platforms, across different games, and you have actual ownership of these items, it makes a lot of sense to me. I'm kind of like a big NFT guy. I think gaming, Web3 gaming is absolutely a future, and that's why I was really excited to talk to you about it. And there's quite a few out there that I'm like really bullish on, like the Parallel game. I think that team rocks. I think everything they're doing with the Prime token, and now they're with Wayfair and the Prompt token in the AI world is just really exciting stuff. Let me peel back a little bit. Can you help me differentiate between NPC Labs as your co-founder and then you are a core contributor or with B3? Kind of what's the difference there between the two companies?
Yeah. So B3 is the blockchain. It's the
Okay.
chain that was launched by a foundation called Player One. And then Player One kind of recruited a bunch of different entities to help build this out. So we have core Ethereum engineers and like core Ethereum builders helping create this interoperable experience that we have, and cross-chain functionality, and abstracting away bridging or needing to switch networks if you're playing our games or interacting with any of the game chains that we're launching for big publishers and big gaming studios. And then NPC Labs, again, was brought in to kind of lead some of the efforts, contribute in a meaningful way. When you take a look at any chain, Arbitrum, Optimism, Base, even, there's multiple contributors always. There's not one single entity that controls the chain. There's always groups of people coming together to kind of make this vision possible. And so NPC Labs is the core contributor of B3, kind of making the vision come to life. And then the Player One Foundation is really the overseeing body that brings in people to kind of come together and build.
Yeah, that's a perfect description. I just wanted to make sure the audience was like kind of on the same page because of my introduction. Now, can you talk to me about why like the current blockchain infrastructure really isn't optimized for gaming? And really, it seems like what B3 is, it's really optimized for gaming and how that all works.
Yeah, I think just to correct a little bit, blockchain wasn't necessarily fit for gaming like 3-4 years ago when we started to see some of like the first on-chain games come to fruition, make waves. People got really excited. People bought in. People participated, and then things just didn't end well. Didn't end super well. And we see this with every single like vertical actually in crypto, and there's no kind of there's no outlier here. There's been financial issue there's in the financial sector, in the NFT space as well, and obviously gaming. SoFi has also been met with its fair share of issues. So the thing here is, when you think about gaming, you don't necessarily, where a person's mind share is I'm going to play a game. I cannot be expected to continuously pay to play this. Like I either want to buy it once, or I just want to play it for free, watch an ad, whatever it is. And so that's the mentality people live with. On-chain games, sadly, when they were first launched on a lot of these like legacy blockchains on like the Ethereums of the world, the cost per transaction was 10, 20, 50, $300. And so when a person is playing a set game and they're paying $100 per every single transaction to swap a gun for a gun or an armor for armor or whatever it is, that's where things get tricky. All of a sudden, it's not a game. Like, you have real money on the line. It's no longer fun. It's, you buy a gun today for $100 and the gas was $100, so you're out $200, but then the gun goes down in value for one reason or another, because it's a down day in the markets, and you're out. And so it's a terrible experience, and it's not fun. It's not even a game at that point in time. It's just, again, a financial asset wrapped in a gamified experience. Fast forward to today, we have much better tech. We've been evolving, we've been building for years and years and years, and the progress being made is incredible. At the layer 3 level, for example, all the transactions are gasless. They're free. And so as you're trading, swapping, minting, whatever it is, when you play games on basement.fun, which is our homepage for on-chain games, we actually showcase games that are launched on B3, as well as games that are launched on Base, as well as we just added Off the Grid, which is an Avalanche game. So the intention with basement.fun was always, if I'm a gamer and I want to see what's available on chain within the world of on-chain games, where do I go? Do I go to the infrastructure page and look through all of the block explorers and the liquidity providers and the dexes that Optimism has to find the one game just wedged in between, an indexer and a wallet provider? Or how do I find these things? It shouldn't be, if you know, you know. And so that's where, when we went live with B3, immediately we went live with a user experience where you can come and find these games and play them. And so on basement.fun, the wallet creation process, fully abstracted. If you don't have a wallet in your browser extension, like a Coinbase wallet or a Rainbow or a MetaMask, whatever it is, we actually spin up a wallet for you by fingerprinting your device, and it's there. And you can play any of the games. You can mint any of the game cartridges for, you own the game cartridge, you play the game in perpetuity, it's yours, no one's going to take it away for you. And it gets saved to that wallet and you don't even know it. You're just clicking around, playing immediately, no barriers to entry, no giving us your email or your receiving a 12-word seed phrase. We've removed all of those frictions. And so then if you're invested and you've been coming back, you've been playing for a week and you're like, whoa, I want to get on the leaderboard. I want to be number one. I know I'm really good at Toshi's fishing adventure. I could start earning the Toshi token by playing this. I want to get on the leaderboard. And that's where you take ownership of the wallet that we've already spun up for you. That's always there, living, breathing, and collecting all of your points, never lost. By just giving us a username. Like you create a username for yourself, just like you would anywhere on a PlayStation store or a Steam store, whatever it is. You create your username and that gives you an ENS domain. So Viktoriya.b3.eth. And that's it. That's your wallet. You now have a wallet. You didn't have to do anything really. You just gave us a username. You can create a profile picture. You can create an avatar, customize your profile, and then get on the leaderboard without any of your kind of work over the last week or so being lost.
If you're in the audience right now listening to this interview, you got to go to basement.fun. I went on it before the interview here, and Toshi Fishing is one that I was messing around with. Then I was looking at Luna Virtuals. I mean, there's a plethora of awesome games on here, and you're right. The user experience is so smooth. I obviously connected with a MetaMask wallet because I have like a million wallets in my browser, but I did see how easy it was to kind of just spin it up. So you could just, it looks like you could just create an account, boom, you're in, no seed phrase. That can be just so overwhelming for people. And I know that firsthand because I've like onboarded some of my normie friends and they're like, what are you doing right now? I'm like, just keep these 12 words safe. Never, ever share them with anybody. Don't store them electronically. Don't take a picture of them. And if you have a fire, you want to make sure they're carved into metal. I mean, it's actually comical even saying it. And even thinking back, you brought up gas fees on Ethereum mainnet. What were we doing? I mean, I was as guilty as anybody. I remember doing my taxes that year, like kind of looking through the gas fees that I was like, it was like tens of thousands of dollars in gas fees. And I was like, man, what was I doing? It kind of makes you kind of question your decision about like, do I really want to make this transaction or anything along those lines? So I'm a big fan of what you're building here, and the L2s, the L3s, just make this easier in the ease of onboarding. You definitely see that firsthand. I would love to know a little bit about, so everybody go to basement.fun, check out all these games. I'm on here right now and I can't stop because I see this spin the wheel game where you can earn, it looks like the GOAT token. I'm like, I really want to spin it while we're on the podcast. But so definitely check that out. I'm really curious about what your personal vibe is over like kind of the current cultural change that we're seeing. Meme coins, and I'm as guilty as anyone. Like over the past year, I've been in the trenches. I've been investing, if you want to call it that, into meme coins. And I do see like a path where some meme coins are gonna, stand the test of time and do very well. But a lot of attention has moved over to meme coins, almost kind of how NFTs were in 2021. And now it seems like there's almost like this change now going back to like utility focused coins, I should say. Do you know what I'm trying to get at? What are your personal vibe in that entire meme coin sector?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. So personally, I love meme coins. I was actually one of like the first 100 users of pump.fun when nobody knew what pump.fun was. I launched a fair amount of tokens myself. Big fan. Just pre my V3 NFT, I was still employed at Coinbase doing all of this. So this isn't like, this is way early. But
they're fun. They're fun.
They're fun. They're fun.
They're a lot of fun. I mean, it gets a little crowded, but it's a lot of fun. Sorry, go ahead.
It is. I agree with you, and that's the thing. That's key here. It's fun. I think like there's a multitude of ways to look at this. There's a lot of people that are like, it's all scams, it's all Ponzi's, it's all just people coming in and PvPing each other, and you should be focusing on real assets, and you should be buying Ethereum, and you should be, and it's this you should be that's causing exactly this meme coin craze, because Gen Z and kids like younger than us don't care what like the Ethereum core values of come and like do these things as a rite of passage. You have to hold these assets to be respected. You have to own a noun. You have to care about, friends with benefits or, some of these like legacy establishments within the Ethereum community. For us to consider you one of us, you have to add .eth to your name. You have to, there's all these rules. And what we see with Gen Z and the younger generation is they don't give a shit. And that's why the entirety of the meme coin, era, if you will, and this bull market popped off on Solana, a chain that, for the longest time ever, Ethereum maxis have looked down upon, right? It's centralized, it's going down every other day. It's backed by FTX. We saw what happened to the token price. But what people fail to understand is the younger generation just doesn't care. They like to break the rules. They like what they like, and they don't like being told what like the right way to do X, Y, or Z is. And that's a lot of like this Ethereum mentality that has been established and provided as a legacy. I love Ethereum. We're building on Base. We're building on Ethereum. But I think just taking an objective look at like, people are like, how could this have happened? It's like, it makes sense that it happened. Hindsight 2020. What did you think we're gonna have another DeFi summer, another like NFT Bored Apes like type experience? No, we've done those things. They're a thing of the past, and you have to see what kids want, and kids want pumped out fun. They want meme coins. They want that rush of, oh my God, I am about to make life-changing money on this, or pure conviction play of what we've seen with WIF, or any of the other, if you will, blue chip meme coins that have made it in like the top 5 or top 10. It's interesting. That said, you are right in that, they're shifting a little bit. I think we got to a point where so much was deployed and so much money was lost that, now these kids, these Gen Zs that came in through meme coins are like, okay, I made 10 grand. I made 5 grand. I don't know if I want to take those holdings and put it on another, potentially failure. Maybe I could rotate it into something that I think is cool or makes sense. And we've seen this like slight like rotation go into assets that have like a little bit, a little more to it than just like pure meme coin culture and that PvP experience. And so, yeah, I think we're going to continue to see this. We're going to continue to see like where the kids take this space. I think every new generation is going to have their thing. We had DeFi summer, we had NFTs. We're the old guard now, and so like kids are coming in and they're gonna tell us what they want to do with this technology. And like, who are we to tell them that like no, you should only be investing in Ethereum. Like that's the only way to do this.
I'm as guilty as anyone. I really am. I mean, I've been in crypto for quite a long while, and I used to tell people, you gotta buy Bitcoin and don't spend it and just sit on it. And it's not very fun, to be honest with you, other than like chart checking in the middle of the night whenever that was like real popular. And then NFTs started captivating people when they were all running. But meme coins are wild. In my personal experience, I've given on the podcast a couple of times. I have close friends that still have just like dipped their toes into crypto. Maybe they bought a little bit of Bitcoin because I told them to, or I remember one of my close friends. I'm like, Chris, you need to buy Solana. This is like a little while back. I think Solana was like 30, $40 or something. I was like, you need to buy Solana. I'm giving them all these reasons in like other chains, but I was like, hey, low transaction fees. I'm just like spewing out all this technical stuff to him. It completely glazed over. Like he was like, yeah, okay. And never invested in it. It pumped and like it sits at like 230, 240 now. And I bring that up to him all the time. But over the past few months, like I'll bring up like random meme coins to him and he's like, so how do I buy it? I'm like, that's what you want to buy. That's what you want to buy. You want to buy Fartcoin. And he's like, you don't like it? I go, no, of course I love it. I go, I got thousands and thousands of dollars of it. I go, but that's what you want to buy? And it's so funny. And you make a good point where like you see this rotation. I've been doing this a lot, and I talk about it with our community a lot, is like profits I make in meme coins. I do rotate. I have my fair share of like Bitcoin and Ethereum and like, the avalanches of the world, but I've been rotating it into like Prime is, for example, I just brought up earlier because I've been staking it for the prompt token. And I'm like, I kind of like what's happening over here. And it kind of brings in this whole AI story. But I've been rotating a lot of my profits from meme coins into like somewhat of these gaming tokens. Again, why I was so excited to talk to you today, because it seems like I can really relate to kind of where the market's going and where this market trend is overall, what we're adopting. Talk to me about like the games. Like what's our goal here? Is it like mobile games? Is it getting on a console? Is it just like casual fun games? Like how do you see these Web3 games evolving?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we kind of rushed a little bit. We were like, we're going to bring CS:GO on chain,
Yeah.
and we're going to bring The Witcher on chain and GTA. 3, 4, 5 years ago, when like there were no, I mean, outside of MetaMask, which is unusable, but still just unrealistic. And so I think the approach that we were very thoughtful here in this. The approach that we took with basement.fun, with B3, and where we started, and how our North Star is really users. We're not looking to pump artificially like vanity metrics. We don't care about TVL. We're not going to be ever the chain that's like bridge over millions of dollars of ETH and like stake it for XYZ reason, or spend hundreds of millions of dollars on these NFTs minted at the layer 3. Our core belief is liquidity needs to stay where it exists. And so if liquidity exists on Base, awesome. If it's on Optimism, if it's on Arbitrum, if it's on Ethereum, great. It's our job to make that liquidity accessible on B3. And that's where chain abstraction tech comes in, where as a game, I don't have to make the trade-off of I want to launch my game with gasless transactions at the L3 level. But if I do that, I'm going to have to also launch my token on L3, and people are going to have to bridge 3 times to even buy that token. We've removed that from the stack. We have created chain abstraction tech where a game can launch on B3, take advantage of gasless transactions, run their entire experience on chain in a specialized way, but launch their token on Base or on Ethereum or on Arbitrum, wherever the liquidity as in trading volume is. And that token is going to be natively interoperable and used within the game without the user having to bridge their funds or bridge switch networks, try and get that, ERC20 on this L3 layer. And so I think that's one of the like big unlocks here that we really didn't have before, which is going to be meaningful because we're kind of eliminating this fragmentation that we keep seeing. If you have 2 ETH here and 5 ETH on Arbitrum and 10 ETH on Ethereum and 40 ETH on Base, like just keeping track of all of that is tough. And then trying to consolidate all of that is tough. And then trying to bridge that 3 times over to this game. I mean, it's impossible. Gaming's never going to make it if that was the experience. And so we kind of went back to the building blocks of like, what do game studios need? We are opinionated. We are specialized. What technology can we build with the best engineers in the space to actually get us to a place where this can be used by, mom in Nebraska, whoever it is. And so we started with bringing in casual, hyper casual games. Basement.fun has addictinggames.com mini clip-like experience in there in order to, it's one of those things where it's standing in line at the grocery store, you'll pull open basement.fun and you'll just play one of the puzzle games while you wait and you queue. And it's just a way to kind of get away from reality for just a little bit, give your brain a little break, solve a puzzle or two, and play something that you're familiar with. You're already playing Candy Crush on your phone. You're already playing Puzzle Block on your phone. You might as well do that, but on chain where you are, you're participating, you're providing feedback to the game developer, and you're earning token for it. And you can use that token to unlock additional levels. I mean, it's the same experience you get for any currency you get in game, except for it doesn't all go to a centralized publisher. Here, it's revenue shared amongst all of the game studios, all of the developers, and traded amongst players. And so it gives power back to you, the player. It gives power back to the actual developers of the games versus the centralized monopolies. And it's a very easy experience. And so that's kind of phase 1, is just getting users comfortable, familiar, and not asking too much of them. You can't, ask people to say 12-word seed phrases and engrave them on steel plates so that they don't melt down when their house burns. You absolutely need to meet them where they're at. And so people are comfortable with the casual, hyper casual experience. And that's what we've brought onto Basement. The long-term vision is, again, to bring in the AAA-like titles. And so Parallel is building a new game called Tau Ceti. It's a third-person shooter.
Really?
We have a trailer of it that we published a couple of months ago. It's incredible. If I may say so myself, I've been a Parallel maxi for since the very early days, actually.
You remember
so this
those?
is a dream come true.
Remember those NFT drops? Were you in that? Like,
the packs? Absolutely. I was absolutely opening the packs. I was absolutely queuing. I was just like watching the time, and then the site would break, and then I'd be like, are you kidding me? And then I'd refresh it 50 times, and then everything would be sold out, and I would just be so frustrated. They fixed a lot. They've come a long way from those early days. But Parallel was really one of the partners that I personally loved. And so when I joined Coinbase and we were doing Coinbase NFT, I made it my personal mission to bring them on as selfishly as one of our partners. And we've been able to work with them on base initiatives. We've been able to work with them on a lot of releases. And now they're building a game that's going to be live within the B3 ecosystem on the Prime chain. So they're launching their own chain with us, B3. And on Prime chain is where Tau Ceti, this third-person shooter, is going to be released in Q3. So super excited.
This is awesome. We have a private community. I don't know how much Joe's told you in the past, but we try to educate them as much as possible. I talk about Prime. I talk about Parallel. I talk about the Parallel avatars, like probably a disgusting amount. I was like, this is like one of my favorite projects ever. And I was in on those early days, like that first pack drop. And I remember, and I did well, actually. I remember getting like max packs, and nobody cares about how well I did, but it was exciting. But they've definitely changed and they've developed, and they're one of my favorite teams out there. So I definitely encourage anybody to check them out. They're doing some awesome stuff out there. And I'm looking at basement.fun, and I'll tell you what. This is just this might captivate my evening for a little bit. I was messing around with the game beforehand. So a lot of these games you mentioned, you can earn like tokens. Like you can earn Toshi token by playing the fishing game, it looks like. And I thought I saw something about like a Luna Virtuals game. Is that on here as well?
And you can earn exactly. You earn the Luna token, you earn the Toshi token, and you earn it by being good. By getting good at the game, right? What gamers love, they love getting on the leaderboard. We remove bots, so if you are going to bot the game, nope, it's not going to work. But every single week, the top 10 on the leaderboard get an airdrop to their profiles of either the Toshi token, the Luna token, and we're bringing on a bunch of other games too, where it's going to be that same exact experience where you're putting in the hours, you're queuing in line at the grocery store, playing the Toshi fishing game, and you have a new high score. You're proud of it. You're number 8. You're gonna get rewarded. And so it's this ecosystem that you can build because of blockchain technology, where players are incentivized to play, to become meaningful community members, to provide feedback to teams for the games that they've built, and to really cultivate this culture around these games. In a more meaningful way. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. Both Luna and Toshi are live, and we have more coming.
I'm gonna clip the hell out of this interview because, like, you were just like putting it in such a, you're just obviously very genuine about like your passion, and that comes out. But you also are just putting it in such like real terms for people to understand. You keep saying like when you're already playing Candy Crush, you're standing in the line at the grocery store. Why don't you? If you're really good at it too, once you're playing, you earn some like people are like, I'm just earning a meme token. I was like, no, Toshi just got listed on Coinbase in 5x, and I think it's sitting at like $1 billion market cap, or at least hundreds of millions. I haven't looked over the past couple of days, but it's just really amazing stuff, and it's awesome what you're building. I'm super excited. Kind of one of the last questions I have for you is I want to understand like what type of opportunities are out there for like brands to like enhance their engagement through just overall gamification.
I think there's a lot that brands can do, and I think they kind of dip their toes with NFTs, like firsthand. I know firsthand a lot of like these releases that the Pepsis of the world did.
The
Nike
mics
and Artifact, yeah. So there's been
Artifact.
a lot. Artifact, yeah. So there's been a good amount, and people are always hypercritical, I think, of like, oh, and now Nike or Pepsi is tweeting GM, and
Oh
Wagman,
yeah.
and that's become a meme that continuously gets circulated. But honestly, I think it's something that we should embrace, right? If we actually want this technology to reach the masses, and if we actually want to get in front of people, and to your point, to show to them that you don't have to participate in the Candy Crush monopoly, you could come and play these games where you know who the game developers are by name. You're in a group with them where you can provide direct feedback. They thrive on this. This is their life. You're a part of a wider community that's collecting this token, trading this token, growing the entire community together. And I think what the brands are seeing is this engagement that their brands are no longer getting, right? Like when we start deviating away from like these legacy experiences and creating our own, that's where they start getting FOMO, and they're like, well, how do I participate? And sure, they've primarily been participating in a very cringy way, but that said, I think there's massive opportunities here of, every brand, what do they want? They want to attract the youth. They want to grow their community. They want to make profit. And I think there's really no better place than crypto and blockchain to achieve all three of those goals, because they go hand in hand. You need a community to make profit. You need to have wholesome experiences for the community to participate, for the profit to come and be shared amongst everyone. I think it is still going to be a lot of work, though, just because of the way things work in Web 2 and how crazy things are in Web 3 compared to this very sheltered experience that a lot of these legacy brands have been playing the same playbook for 50, 60, 100, 150 years. So I want, the forgotten games, the forgotten studios, that kind of got sidetracked and replaced and pushed out of this space to kind of come back and have a nostalgia play almost. And we saw a little bit of this with the Vine meme coin, right? The creator of Vine was like, yo, I'm gonna relaunch Vine. You all loved it. I loved it. It felt like big media took us down. We're gonna bring it back, and people loved that, right?
Well, I rallied, man. I was like, bring it. I signed up for their wait list. They like Russ put a wait list out. I go, bring back Vine.
Bring back Vine. And there's so many games and titles and studios and devs that have similar experiences. Like think back to like I don't know like your age range, but like think back to like E-Bombs World. Think back to like the Heli Attack. Think back to some of these games that were incredible, and we played in like computer lab as kids, and they've like have core memories attached to them. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity here. It just has to be done in the right way, so that it's not cringy and not weird and meaningful.
I was a big Oregon Trail guy. I don't even know
Oregon Trail.
I don't even know what year that was, but if I like shot like the big deer or the buffalo, oh man. I remember my mom was a teacher, and like I'd be sick from school or like didn't want to go to school, or my school, we were in different districts. My school would have like a snow day and hers wouldn't, so I'd go to school with her because it was easy. And I'd like sit there and play like Oregon Trail, and it's such a simple game. But man, the nostalgic feelings that I even just talking about it kind of like gives my like a little tummy a little roar. But Viktoriya, I absolutely love what you're building here. Wealth of knowledge. I know you're already crushing in this industry, and we're definitely going to give you probably a bigger even shout out within our private community and everything at basement.fun. But I want to give you an opportunity for people to find you, to people find all the links. Where do you want people to go to find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So follow our Twitter account, b3.fun. Dot is spelled DOT. Yeah, b3.fun. And then, of course, b3.fun, the website, just gives you more information. If you're a developer or game studio, you want to get in touch with us, you want to learn more about the tech, it's a great place to start. And then basement.fun, of course, which is, the homepage for on-chain games. And it's not just B3 games. We really believe in this collaboration over competition vision. You should be able to see all games. What are all the possible games available across every chain, every ecosystem? And so that's what we're building, and that's what basement.fun is. But we're very early. We're 6 months in here.
Oh, really?
So,
you kidding me?
yes,
6 months?
Yes. So
You've
you're
done more.
early.
You've done more in 6
early.
months than anybody's done in years. My goodness.
I mean, we aim to please. We're a championship team. At Coinbase, there was this value. Most big companies are like, we're a family. And it was really funny because at Coinbase, their values like, we're not a family. We're a championship team and we expect everyone to perform. And if you don't perform, you're cut. And it was just like, damn, okay. And I think building out our team at NPC Labs and B3, we really took that to heart. We have the best of the best. And that's why, again, in 6 months, we launched testnet for just 1 month. We launched mainnet. We've been fully live. We have 6 million players. We have over 80 games. And the biggest announcements haven't even been announced yet. So you're early because we're early. And yeah, we're excited.
I like that. If it's any reason, I'm going to drop those links down below for everybody watching this. We're going to talk more about this because it's really an exciting time. I'm a big believer. I mean, it's kind of like meme coins meet gaming, and you make it easy for the normal people out there. Viktoriya, really appreciate you jumping on, and I'm sure we'll probably have you on soon as well.
Thank you so much. Wonderful speaking with you, Brian.
Thanks.
Bye.